Good evening. I'm Jonathan Higgins, and this is the Scanner Guys. Welcome to the show. This is the first time we're ever doing a product lab. We hope to make bless you. We hope to make this a thing that we can do every so often. So what we've done is we searched out some products out there, of course, some from Scanner Master, and then some that you find in that big box store, Amazon. You may have done a couple of searches on Amazon for mobile antennas and things like that. So what I did is I ordered a few and I put them to the test. So we're going to take a look at those products and see, did they make the grade? Did they fail? Or were they just okay? So sit back, relax. We're going to have an hour of talking about scanners and products. Let's take a look at the slide deck first. So here's our topic of discussion, 2022 Product Lab. We put these scanner accessories to the test. So you want to make sure that you follow, like, and subscribe to our channels on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at The Scanner Guys. Check out the website, thescannerguyshow.com. And while you're there, you can shop our brand new swag store. We have all types of brand new swag there. So basically, check it out. You can contact us through the website and even sign up at our newsletter. And welcome to everybody that's checking in. I see everybody rolling in. So good evening to everyone. All right, let's dive into this topic. So we're going to start with mobile antennas. So this one I found, it is one of those Chinese antennas. It's a dipole. It's about $9. Amazon customers have rated it with 4 stars. It's a wideband antenna, has an adhesive back to it, 10 feet of cable, and a BNC connector. Let's take a little bit of a look at that. So I got it right next to me. So here it is. Here's the coax cable. It's the thinner coax cable. And then there's the adhesive back and, of course, the BNC connector on the cable. So it's 10 feet of coax cable. So it's not super long. Let's take a look at our next antenna. So this one looks very much like the SpectrumForce wideband antenna. We went up in price about $15. This one actually scored 4.5 stars. Yet again, wideband from 20 megahertz all the way up to 1300 megahertz. Mag mount antenna. It is about 16 inches tall, 10 feet of coax cable, and has a BNC connector. So let's take a look at this antenna right here. Let's see if I can grab it while I'm knocking things over. And this one here, it looks very much like the SpectrumForce antenna, thinner coax cable. Pretty good mag mount, for a $15 antenna, and a BNC connector there. So this antenna is a little bit shorter than the SpectrumForce, which I have right here. So here's the SpectrumForce versus, I think it's a little shorter than 16 inches, but you can see it right here. The two side by side. The SpectrumForce is about 17 or 18 inches. So there's several different models of this antenna. This is the latest version. I did read about these antennas that the mag mount is not strong enough. And this new version, allegedly, reading the comments, it is a little bit stronger. Tonight's presentation, we're going to look at reception, see how it works. And then the last antenna, we're going to put the Scanner Master SpectrumForce wideband antenna to the test. Now, this antenna is a little bit more money. It's $24.95. Scanner Master customers have rated this antenna 4.5 stars. So I basically put all 3 of these antennas to the test, and we have a video presentation to show that off. So let's take a look at the video and see which antenna worked the best. We're going to use the rubber duck antenna that came with the 125 AT as a baseline to see how many weather stations we can get and what the quality of signal we have.
At 5 p.m. at the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky International Airport, it was 51 degrees under cloudy skies.
Channel 1 seems
Here are the 5
clear.
p.m. weather conditions at the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky. Partly cloudy in the evening, then becoming
Channel 3 is about
cloudy.
3 bars.
Waves and the relative humidity.
So it looks like we are able to get channel 1 and channel 3.
Waves 1 to 3 feet. The water temperature off Toledo is 51 degrees. Chance of rain. Lows in the upper 40s. Sunday.
Right now we're trying the dipole antenna, which is mounted inside of the vehicle.
Now looking at the weather patterns
okay reception on both channels, but it's not the strongest compared to the rubber duck antenna. Let's try the roof mount mag mount antenna from Amazon and see how well that works.
Highs in the lower 60s.
Trying it on the roof mount antenna from Amazon seems to be a little bit better than the interior antenna in the vehicle, that dipole.
Up in Columbus Fair.
Let's try another channel.
Now looking at the weather patterns affecting the southern Great Lakes and Ohio Valley region. Warm and continued dry conditions will persist through Monday. Showers will develop late Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday night as a low.
Now we have the very familiar SpectrumForce wideband antenna with mag mount. We talk about this antenna all the time. So far on channel 1, this is a clear winner. Let's try it on that channel 3. And on channel 3, it's a clear winner. Full bars on both channels. All right. So there were some predictions. Joe M predicted that the SpectrumForce would work the best. Believe it or not, the SpectrumForce did work the best compared to all of the antennas that were in the competition there. Of course, the dipole was mounted inside the vehicle, so that's a drawback. Anytime that you have an antenna inside of a vehicle, it's basically inside of a metal can with windows, that can hinder reception. The mag mount antenna that was from Amazon worked a little bit better. And then, of course, the SpectrumForce antenna took the cake. Now, the SpectrumForce antenna, there's a couple of benefits to that. So the dipole and the mag mount antenna from Amazon only has a 10-foot coax cable, where the SpectrumForce has 12 feet. So 2 extra feet on that, on the SpectrumForce antenna as well. So that's another great benefit to it as well. So I haven't tested them in other bands, but you know, that's the overall, doing the typical NOAA weather radio test. You know, basically what I recommend if you want to do the NOAA weather radio test is to establish a baseline, use the stock antenna as we started our test with the rubber duck antenna, and then use no weather radio. It's a constant broadcast. It's broadcasting all the time, and do all the tests in the same test environment. So basically, my truck was parked in the driveway. I had of course, the magnetic antennas on the roof, centered on the roof of my pickup truck. Then I put the antenna out on the inside of my vehicle, and then didn't change position of where the scanner was on my truck or the antennas, other than their location where they were, and then did the test. So I'm really happy that won the SpectrumForce won, and you do basically get, the old saying is, you get what you pay for, and clearly in this case, that was the case. But certainly if you're looking for an inexpensive antenna, there's lots of options. Some are good, some are bad. Valid point, you need to be careful with mag mounts, especially if it's a flimsy, cheap antenna. If you go above 60 miles an hour, you may have issues. As for the SpectrumForce antenna, I've tested it for years at speeds greater than 65 miles an hour. Never had an issue at all with that antenna. With this other antenna, I've heard that they made improvements on it because they were getting a lot of complaints with another antenna that was listed by this company that the mag mount was not holding up. So that it's a little bit better of a base. It's weighed, and it's got a decent magneted on it. So it seemed to be pretty good. Even the material that they use for the antenna is pretty solid. We're not done yet. We've got a lot to talk about tonight in our product lab. And we want to do this again. The great thing about this is, I'm more than happy to test out some of these items, save you guys some money, and see if it passes the test. Keep in mind, we've got a small budget here at the Scanner Guys. So, I'm not able to test out, expensive pieces of equipment. But if there's something out there that you want us to put to the test that's not that expensive, drop us an email at thescannerguyshow.com, and we would love to be able to test it out to see whether it works. We may find a gem that's, an inexpensive product for us to be able to use. Let's continue on with the presentation. So everybody loves to have a little portable desk mount for their scanner. It's great to be able to put your portable on it. It looks really cool. So I've looked at this one that was available also on Amazon. It's the Edge Table Shelf Mount for the Uniden SDS 100 and 436 HP. 1995, Amazon customers rated with 4 stars. Has a rubber feet pad to protect the surface that it's attached to, and it can be attached up to 1.75 inches. This is well worth the money. I really like it. So take a look. We see in the image there the 436 in the image. I ended up using my SDS 100. On top of it, I was even able to put the swivel belt clip on there. So the swivel belt clip is able to go right behind that plate. You also have on the photo way over to the right, if you still have the little I can't think of it, the stud on the back of your SDS 100 or your 436, you can connect it right in that little divot there. Also, I got this in the carrying case. Matter of fact, I like it so much, I've kept it right here. So matter of fact, the end scanner's right here, and I kept it in here. It will be able to accommodate the larger battery back, because a lot of people may be using the larger battery pack. And this is a little stud here. So I can either use the belt clip, as you can see in the center photo, and drop it into that notch, or slide the belt clip right into the back of that plate and use that to even make it more secure. I was very impressed with this. I mean, $20. It attaches to my desk. It looks really nice. As you can see there in the first photo, you see the scanner sitting there right at the corner of the desk, right next to my radios right here in the cabinet. Let's take a look at another option that many of you are familiar with. This is a little bit more money. It's about $44.95. It's a Scanner Master product. Scanner Master customers have rated it 4.5 stars. It's basically closest thing that I can call like a bookshelf end, but it's made for a scanner. Looks great. Basically, you can use a belt clip, slide it through here. You could also use the, let me just widen this out so you can see. So you can see here, you can put a belt clip through here. You also have the ability to put that stud and drop it into here. We have holes here to be able to snake in your wires, whether they're programming cables or power cables, and then it would snake through this hole here. Now, the other thing, if you want to sit your radio, you can sit it right on the shelf here. This is really nice. I have several of these. I actually have the base mounts. They work great. It's about $44, but I would say it's really sturdy. It's going to last a long time, and it's in that powdered black. So I would definitely recommend this as well. If you're looking for something a little less expensive, yeah, that Amazon option will certainly be a good option. We'll look at that one more time. There it is right there. There is actually links to all the products that we're talking about tonight. Of course, the Scanner Master ones, if you buy these, it's got our affiliate link on it, so it'll help support the channel. So definitely consider purchasing. When you do purchase things from Scanner Master, certainly use our affiliate link. So this is something that I would strongly recommend. Some other surfaces you may be able to use. Let's say you have your rail fanning, and you have one of those decorative fences. You may be able to attach your scanner to that temporarily to the top of it. So you can certainly do that as well. So a lot of great uses from this. So we've covered mobile antennas, and we've also covered desk mounts, for one portable scanner. So let's take a little bit more of a look at some other things. All right, so speakers. We're asked this all the time. What is this best speaker for my base mobile? Now, keep in mind, for anything that's a portable, such as the SDS or any other model, the headphone jack has a resistor. So anytime you're going to be connecting up an external speaker, you want it to be amplified. So make sure you're using an amplified speaker, such as those old computer speakers that are amplified. You could use those. If you're using like a Uniden speaker that's not amplified, you plug it into here, it's not going to be very loud. You need it to be amplified. But with our base mobiles, there's a couple of different options. You have in the rear of the scanner, you have what we call an external speaker. On the Uniden and Whistler radios, they have a jack right here, which is the external speaker jack. So when you're using an external speaker, plug into there versus the headphone jack in the front. You want to make sure that you're not using that unless you're using headphones. The other thing we're going to talk about in a moment is the record jack on the back of the radio. There's a nifty thing we can do if your scanner is located in your hobby room and you want to be able to monitor something in the other room, but you haven't ran coax cable to get good reception in that room. We're going to talk about that in a second. So let's go back to the slide deck and take a look at what we have here. This speaker, is small but mighty. A really good speaker, the Uniden Bearcat 3-inch external speaker, otherwise known as the BC7, is $19.95. Scanner Master customers have rated it 5 stars. It's compact. It has a 6-foot cord. It's a typical stereo headphone jack. Plugs right in the rear of the radio. And it works great. It's small. It's perfect. If you've got your scanner mounted on your desk, the speaker is on the bottom. So if it's a little muffled, you take this speaker, connect it up to the external speaker jack, point that speaker in the direction that you want the sound to go in, you're perfect. So this is totally a favorite of mine. And let's go on to the next. All right. A lot of you probably have seen these online. Bluetooth transmitter receivers. So these are a dual functioning Bluetooth transmitter receiver. I'm actually using this to be able to transmit to my Anker speaker. There's many options of these Bluetooth transmitter receivers on Amazon. They work best with the Uniden Bearcat base mobiles. The reason being, you can connect it up to the record jack. The record jack has a steady volume output. So you can turn the volume up and down on your bass unit. It's not going to affect the sound quality going out through the record jack. That's a steady volume. Now, the thing you have to keep in mind when programming your scanner, you need to make sure each channel or talk group is turned on for recording. If it's not turned on for recording, that audio will not travel down the record jack. So if you want to not have certain channels go down through the record jack, then you can leave the recording off. But the great thing about it is I use this all the time. I'm in a rental, so I'm not able to put antennas out everywhere or run coax cable everywhere. I'm able to run coax cable into this room. I got really good reception on the railroads. So I want to be able to listen to this in the living room or the bedroom. So basically, I got one of these Anker speakers. It'll connect directly up to that Bluetooth transmitter like it just did there. And I'm able to take this speaker around the house. So if I want to listen to my my scanner here, I can listen to it in the living room, in the kitchen, in the bedroom. Outside, it's got some pretty good distance. It works really well. These Anker speakers, I'm totally a fan of them. This one here is battery powered. It will last for 24 hours before you have to charge it again. It also has large buttons for powering on, turning up the volume, and of course, connecting to the Bluetooth. And it connects up super fast. It is a great little speaker. I highly recommend it. I may leave that on for a few minutes to see if we hear anything on the railroads while we're doing this show. But definitely keep this in mind. These little Bluetooth transmitter receivers go for about $30. And they do have some pretty good range. I found that I'm able to hear it quite well around the house. So I would definitely recommend this. And this is great for an alternative where you're not able to run coax cable to a scanner in the other room. And the coax is allowing it to connect to the rooftop. And if you're not getting good reception without that antenna, it's very hard to listen in the other room. This allows you to be able to connect it up via Bluetooth and be able to take the speaker around the house. Preamps. We get asked this a lot about preamps. Back in the day, there used to be several manufacturers that had a couple of different preamps. Right now, the only one that's available through Scanner Master is the M75 Pre-Amp, which looks just like this here. Now, typically, this is used for a portable scanner. So the GIM basically would go into the BNC connector on the top of the scanner, and then you would put on your antenna on here. I've used this on a base mobile, just connecting to the rear of the radio, running the coax cable to here. It may be a great combination if you're in an apartment or in a condo and you're not able to run an antenna outside of the house. You may be able to put one of these to boost up reception and take one of these mag mount antennas that we talked about earlier and put it by a window. What I recommend with this is probably on the Uniden radios, I would recommend it. On the Whistler GREs, they're usually a little bit more sensitive, so you may find it'll overload. So depending on your make and model, there's the railroads there. Depending on the make and model, I would probably recommend, taking a look at this particular speaker. You can plug it in to a power adapter. It takes the same power adapter that any of the Uniden Bearcat base mobile radios take. It's the same type of wattage and jack. It will also be powered by a 9-volt battery as well. So if you want to be able to use that, definitely make sure you turn this off or you're going to drain the battery. Now it's got a gain control, which you can do here, and you can adjust it. What I recommend to rail fans, if you're using something like this, find the best A, B, C switch here. Find the best band that works with the weather channel. Use that as your threshold and notice how many channels you gain or lose, and then adjust your settings accordingly. Your your gain control here, and then of course, select probably for railroads, I would probably say B. But if you're looking for something that's got a wide range, probably A, of course, or if you're doing anything in the low band, C. So there's a couple of different options on here. You're basically deciding what band you want to focus in on. The thing with this is, it takes a little bit of manipulating it because you want to be able to control the volume, not the volume, the way, the reception. Sometimes it's going to make it worse. Sometimes it's going to make it better. So definitely keep that in mind with the Jim preamp. It works really well. I've used it with a couple of different my scanner setups, but for the most part, it's a thing that you can use to be able to clean up some of those weaker signals. So it may clean up it a little bit. It's not going to create a miracle, that's for sure. All right, let's take a look at what else we have on the slide deck, and I think we're going to be getting close to your questions. Yes, we are. So I want to remind you of a couple of things. Of course, the Scanner Guys are brought to you by viewers like you. So you guys watching the show each and every week certainly helps support the channel, whether it be Train Aficionado or the Scanner Guys show. If you're a Scanner Guys fan, make sure you check out our store. We got brand new t-shirts and such on there, hoodies, and a whole bunch of stuff. You can shop the merch store, thescannerguyshow.com. That's thescannerguyshow.com. And anytime that you're looking to purchase anything, make sure you click the affiliate link down below. It helps us out, to be able to pay for streaming costs and what have you. I mean, we do use a third party to be able to stream up. We also have web hosting. And then, of course, some of that money allowed us to purchase some of the stuff that we were able to show you tonight. Train Aficionado Live. We've got another great show coming up. That'll be next Wednesday, November the 2nd, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to their social media as well, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers over there, so help us out and subscribe to that channel as well. We are getting into that time of the year where holiday shopping is coming up. We're going to have our 2022 scanner shopping guide. We're going to talk about, creating your own package, maybe some gifts that you can recommend to those loved ones if they're looking for something to buy. We're going to take a look at some things that we can take a look at and consider for this holiday season. That show will be the second Wednesday in November, November the 9th, 2022, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you set a reminder there. And of course, don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to our social media as well. Make sure you hit that subscribe button while you're watching tonight. We really appreciate it. So let's take a look at some of the questions and comments that we've had during this show. What good is a DMR radio if I can't use it to listen to unencrypted frequencies? I don't necessarily need it because of frequencies I'm on it. Okay, so no device is going to be able to unencrypt encrypted communications. Unless you're a police officer and you're using the equipment, or you get arrested, you'll be able to hear it, as you're going to the police station in the squad car. Other than that, no device is ever going to be able to unencrypt the encrypted. So unfortunately, you're not able to do that. So DMR, ham radios kind of got into the DMR stuff. And of course, some business communication is on DMR. So keep in mind, if you're purchasing a scanner that has that as an upgrade, such as any of the Uniden models, the Uniden models have NXDN and DMR and Pro Voice. Those are upgrades on most of those radios. So you either purchase it if you need it. If you don't need it, you just leave it off. But unfortunately, if there's any communications that are encrypted, no scanner ever will be able to be able to do anything about the encryption. So that's definitely out. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to monitor out there. If you're listening to a scanner, there's railroads, aviation, of course, there's the fire departments. A lot of fire departments haven't done encryption. Some police departments still to this day don't have encryption. So don't be scared off by encryption. Do your research before purchasing a scanner. Definitely go to RadioReference.com and see if indeed these items are encrypted. Yeah, if you're looking to buy a DMR radio, the Anytone 868 is definitely a good option. I would recommend, if you're looking, I would recommend looking at was it Bridgecom Communications. If you're looking to buy like a two-way radio, if you're looking to buy a scanner, I would recommend any of the Uniden models, such as the 436, 536, the SDS 100 or 200. All those radios have DMR available to be able to monitor. So definitely take a look at that. The 899 antenna, you put it on the inside of his home on the window. It picked up the airplanes, but not so good on police and fire. Well, you're from Rhode Island, so that antenna is going to work somewhat okay on that 800 megahertz trunk system, but it's not going to be the greatest. So yeah, I would definitely recommend something like a really true wideband antenna to be able to do that. These dipoles, I haven't been a super fan of these. ScannerMaster does have an 800 megahertz dipole antenna. It works pretty well, but keep in mind, it's not going any higher or outside. Basically, you're putting it on the window. It's putting an antenna closer to the window, but it's not going up and out, as we always say. Up and out is always a good thing to be able to do. But yeah, I mean, certainly it's going to make a little bit of a difference if your scanner is on your desk over here and the window's over there. To be able to put an antenna right by the window is certainly going to be a huge help. All right, let's take a look here. I believe Joe Bearcat kind of addressed this. He's having an issue with his SDS. When I plug it in. How to fix it? I'm going to strongly recommend sending it back to Uniden to be repaired. If it's under warranty, that's good. If not, there is a fixed rate that Uniden has to be able to get it repaired. So definitely send it back to Uniden. I wouldn't recommend opening it up and tinkering with it. Send it in there and they'll be able to fix the adapter. If it's under warranty, even better. All right, let's go rail fanning. Okay, so putting on DMR onto your SDS is not very difficult. If you purchase from ScannerMaster, if you purchase it from ScannerMaster, you can purchase it with DMR on it. They'll put it on. They'll charge you a little bit more of a fee of the cost because somebody's putting it onto the radio. If you don't want to pay the extra X amount of dollars for ScannerMaster to do it, purchase the radio from ScannerMaster. Once you get it, you register the radio through Uniden's website, and then you can purchase any of the digital formats that are available: DMR, Pro Voice, and NextEdge. So if you're looking for DMR, you would purchase that. Once you purchase it, it's going to give you a key, which is going to be married to your scanner. So how is it married to your scanner? When you go to purchase the key, it's going to ask you some information about your scanner, electronic serial number, and so forth. You're going to put that all in there on the website. Basically, that registers your scanner. Also, for warranty, do that as well. You may want to do that while you're doing the DMR update. And then once you put in your information, paid for the DMR update, it's going to generate a key. You'll then go into your settings, upgrades, select DMR, you put the key in, and then bang, just like that, your radio will be able to pick up DMR communications. So it's relatively simple. Consult your manual. If you're not a fan of the Uniden manual, Mark Scanners, the website is great. He recently put together an online manual for the SDS 100 and 200. If you're a bit old school, ScannerMaster has a printed version of that manual, because a lot of people, don't care for reading things on the computer and they prefer having a physical book. So definitely you can consider that as well. What scanner was I using during the test? I think you're just trying to get me to say the model number. Is the Uniden Bearcat BC125AT. It's one of the easiest radios to program. It's the one I use for rail fanning, and it seems to work great. It's just a basic scanner, and it's simple to use. And of course, I was able to turn on over the radio with ease, as you saw in the video. But certainly, the 125 AT was the little tester for the antennas. Mike, yeah, I mean, the possibilities of getting arrested, you'll be able to listen to their encrypted system, in the squad car. So, I mean, it's the only way. I mean, unless you're by the police officer listening to his radio going off. But a lot of officers now, when they're working a detail, will actually have the earpiece in their ear, so you won't even hear that. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, when a radio system is encrypted, you're not able to hear it. I mean, there is some agencies, from what I'm hearing, that are turning off the encryption, and then they're keeping encryption on the secondary channels, which makes sense. But yeah, there's other ways of monitoring. Certainly, if you're in a city or town that has encryption for the police, monitor some of the fire communication. There's going to be some interesting communication on there. And then a lot of times when there's an incident involving the police, such as a shooting or an accident, fire department's going to roll on scene. You're going to know about that side of the story versus the police side of the story. So definitely keep that in mind. Oh, I knew. Okay. So the great thing about the 100, the SDS 100, is you can program it by zip code. When you do program it by zip code, it's going to pull in a whole slew of things. So when you do program it by zip code, you're going to decrease the range on the radio. We've covered the SDS quite a bit in other shows, so definitely check that out. But what I would recommend doing is try it by zip code, see how much you're pulling. Now, the first thing you want to make sure you do, you mentioned a new P25 site, update the database, and also check radio reference to make sure that update is in place for that trunk system. So if the update's there and it's been there for a while, update the database with the Sentinel software, which we did a whole video a couple weeks ago on how to be able to do that using the Sentinel software. Once you've updated the radio, you could try the zip code based programming to see what you can get. If it's a bit too much, then I would venture to create a favorites list. And I've also, in the video that we did a couple weeks ago, showed you how to make a favorites list. It's not that difficult. If you're pretty computer savvy, not extremely computer savvy, but you're able to, kind of navigate through, you should be able to do it. Now, the other option, if it's way over your head, what I would recommend doing is Scanner Master has a service where they'll send you a brand new SD card. Now, why do you want another SD card? Now, the reason being is it costs money to send your SDS 100 to somewhere to be programmed and then send it back. It's a lot cheaper to buy an SD card with the updated database, with the updated firmware, and a favorites list, including this trunk system. So you can do that as well. We do at Scanner Master, they do have an SD card service where they're able to do all those things. Plus, you tell them what county, and you can even specify there's a brand new trunk system in there. I want to make sure I'm able to monitor that, and they'll be able to program up a favorites list for that area, including that digital trunk system. So there's a couple of different options. What I would recommend is checking out the video first. I mean, that's the free option. Check out the video that I went over the SDS, using an SDS and the Sentinel software and how to create a favorites list. It's going to be the first place I would say. Give that a shot. If it's way over your head, then do the Scanner Master SD card replacement, where basically they'll do all the work for you. They'll send you a brand new SD card. You basically pop out the SD card in your SDS 100 and pop in the new one, and then basically you're done. So definitely keep that in mind. Let's take a look. The comments are rolling in. Joe Bearcat, welcome to the show. So happy to have you on. We can't wait for you to be on with me at some point. Looking forward to that, when you are able to come on and be able to talk about, anything that that's going on at Uniden. And plus, tell us a little bit about you and how you got into this hobby. Because, it's certainly a great hobby that we all share. Just checking to see if there's anything else that I missed. I don't think so. But I see a lot of people checking in across the country and across the world. So I've got to say I appreciate every one of you joining us each and every week. I saw the comment by Radios 80. I'll have to check that out. So it sounds like there was a pretty decent size event involving CSX. So I'll have to look at that once I'm off the show. Of course, the World Series is going on. So Wayne is out there. He's rooting for the Phillies. So, and then if Chris Schultz is joining us, welcome. Chris, I did get your email about the Blues Brothers. Phenomenal movie. So happy you were able to watch the Blues Brothers with Jake and Edward. Really awesome. Jim is asking about Joe Bearcat's office, if it's finished yet, because that was the ongoing thing about about your office. You were having it painted and you were doing a whole bunch of other things. So that's why you're kind of delaying being on the show. So hopefully you're getting all that done, and we would love to have you on the show to be able to kind of, pick your brain about some Uniden models. I'm sure there's people that, you've answered a ton of questions this evening from a lot of people. I'm sure you could answer them live and in studio as well, in your own location. I don't think you're going to travel all the way to Cincinnati and join me in the room, but anyway. The Scanner School, Phil, good evening. Sorry, I've been a bit delayed. We've been emailing back and forth. I definitely got to get back to you. We'll have you on as a guest host and to be able to join me as well. Let's see. Yes. Just got the Home Patrol 2 at Scanner Master. It seems to have phase 2. Okay. Is there any simulcast involved? That's going to be one of my questions, Tony. Now, since it's a cross in between a base mobile and it does run on batteries, Have you found when you've gone outside of the house that you get a little bit more reception on the phase 2 digital? Are you using something a little bit more than the stock antenna? The other thing to keep in mind on the Home Patrol 1 and 2, there's the attenuator button up on the top. Make sure you haven't activated that. When the Home Patrol 1 first came out, I fielded so many calls with, my scanner can't hear anything. I'm getting absolutely nothing. And then the first place I went to is I asked them about the attenuator. Have you enabled that? Yeah, I turned it on. I don't get anything. Make sure you turn that off. You don't want the attenuator on. The other thing with those phase 2 digital systems, you may want to tighten up the squelch. Maybe do 3 or 4 for the number with the setting for the squelch. So definitely try to mess with that, and then give a call to Scanner Master after trying some of these things. See if they have any suggestion. The great thing about it is it's great when you call them up over the phone, you get a live person and you can have a two-way conversation. I know it's hard for us to do it here, but those are some of my suggestions. Try the scanner outside of your house, see if the reception's any better. If you're dealing with simulcast, it could be simulcast, where you're in the middle of two sites. They're both communicating at the same time, and they're hitting your scanner at the same time and basically canceling each other out. So definitely keep that in mind. Let's see. Tony did get back to me, so let me just see here. You have an outdoor antenna off the attic. Okay. So do you have any other digital scanners to compare it to? I mean, that's, of course, if you do, and if it's having the same issue, then we kind of know it's a location issue. If one scanner is receiving the trunk system like nobody's business, and the Home Patrol 2 is not, then there could be something with a scanner. Are you receiving no weather radio? That's another gauge. You can try to see if you're receiving that. And if you're not receiving one of the stations, the radio could be possibly deaf. Definitely do, if you just recently purchased it, make sure you call Scanner Master, let them know, so you may be able to return it, either exchange it or do what have you. So you have to make sure that you're doing that. The 200 is working fine. I'm wondering if it's a simulcast issue, because the 200 is able to conquer the simulcast issue, where the Home Patrol 2 is not so well. But I would definitely try the scanner outside of home in a different environment. If it's picking up gangbusters, closer to one of those towers, then it's a simulcast issue. If you're not picking it up in other locations you try the scanner in, it could be possibly deaf. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, New York City, you think of JR's situation in New York City. I mean, that's an RF mess if you think about it. So if you're in a place like New York City or downtown Boston or Chicago or LA, this is not going to be your friend. This is going to pull in more interference with these amplifiers. Typically with these amplifiers, you know what I recommend this for? Rural areas, where kind of everything is spread out. When you're in a large city, you don't want to use one of these amplifiers. The other thing too, which we've mentioned before, if it is a simulcast issue, less of an antenna is better. So you don't want to use this because it's going to bring in your reception. Remember the old paperclip thing that we've talked about before? The paperclip trick may work, or a little stubby antenna may actually help with simulcast issues. Yeah, exactly like what Joe said. We could talk about simulcast all night. They're using the same frequency. So think of somebody that talks your ear off, and think of it as, you clone that person. You got two of them talking to you at the same time. You're not able to follow the conversation because they're they're both talking at the same time. It's the same thing as encryption, not encryption, simulcast. They're transmitting at the same time. It's binary code. It's zeros and ones traveling in the air. And the radio is trying to decode the zeros and ones, and it's getting the same signal at the same time. And it's confusing the living crap out of the scanner. So basically, it'll do the blip, 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 or completely drops out in audio. Simulcast has been a complete nuisance, to our hobby. Thankfully, like the Unication pagers solved that issue along with the Home Patrol 1 and 2. Yeah, preamps did me more harm than good out in Long Island. Yeah, I mean, you're right next to New York. So you're still in that RF environment where there's a lot of agencies within a short range of each other. When you're out in the middle of farmlands and things are a little bit further away, preamp's gonna help you. Let's see. Wow, the 200 is an older radio. I'm not too sure. Sometimes the battery will drain out and need to be charged. Depends on how old that battery pack is. It seems like you have a new battery pack, so you may have went to one of those stores to actually get that battery pack rebuilt. Yeah, that we used to carry at Scanner Master way back when I started. Those battery packs, I believe the 200 was a slide-on. And nowadays, I've heard people that still use the 200. They have to go to one of those Batteries and More or whatever store, and basically they take it apart and they rebuild that pack in there. So 2 weeks ago, is it dead? Maybe have you tried charging it and it still doesn't hold the charge? That could be an issue as well. If it's not holding a charge, it could be an issue with the battery pack. I would definitely look that way. And of course, the 200 is an older radio. I mean, if you're lucky enough to be able to get a battery pack that's working properly, you still have a really good radio for analog conventional. No, I wasn't really saying your wife has simulcast. But I mean, if you had two people that were talking your ear off, that it could be a version of simulcast. Just trying to think of different things that kind of people can wrap their head around when it comes to simulcast. Phil did a really good video about simulcast, and basically he did an illustration where it kind of showed the signals coming at the scanner, and it's coming at it all at once, and scanner getting confused. I mean, it's just like two people talking at the same time. Eventually you're going, trying to follow this conversation. Eventually, you're doing one or two things, getting confused or completely tuning it out. And that's what basically your scanner's doing, is completely tuning it out. Well, we had a great presentation tonight. If there's other items that you want us to try out, within reason, I'm not going to be able to buy a $1,200 radio and be able to try it out. But if you see these, these things that are out there that are relatively cheap, and you want to see, are they worth the money? The Smiley antenna, which was recommended by one of the viewers, phenomenal antenna. I was just talking to my dad the other night. We have the one for the railroad band, and my dad says, I love the antenna. I'm able to hear the detector further away than I never did with the stock antenna. Now I hear it with the Smiley antenna. He says he loves it. Works great. That's a thing that one of you recommended. I ended up purchasing it, and my dad ended up getting one. I actually have two of the Smiley antennas, and it works great. And that's a lot of stuff that's, things that you guys recommend to us. And we're more than happy to try it out and see how it works. And, we may end up falling in love with the product as well. Keep those questions coming. during these shows. We love to be able to answer those questions. And of course, if you have any recommendations for shows that you want us to cover, definitely hit us up on the website. We would love to hear that. And of course, anything else that you want to share with us. If you have any questions, regarding scanners or operation, we'd recommend you emailing Scanner Master. They're able to help you with that, especially if you have any issues with anything you purchased through them. Definitely do it through them. They'll be happy to help you. I can't say enough. We really do appreciate, you guys watching each and every week. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to our social media as well. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. You're watching the show right now. Hit that subscribe button. And make sure you check out the new store. We have some T-shirts, hoodies, and what have you. The ScannerGuysShow.com is the website. You can contact us through the website and the newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter there. We just want to remind you, we're going to have our shopping guide coming up in a couple of weeks, Wednesday, November the 9th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. And Train Aficionado Live will be coming next week, Wednesday, November the 2nd, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. I can't believe it's November already. That is crazy. Where did 2022 go? But yeah, definitely let us know of any products that you would like us to try or recommend. We would love to hear about them. I thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you can join us next week for Train Aficionado Live, and of course, the Scanner Guys. So have a great night. Be safe out there. We'll talk to you soon.